This is Kristen Bell.
And Adam Brody.
And we're dating.
In our new show, Nobody Wants This.
Right. We're not really dating.
No, in real life, we're married.
Right. Married to other people, not each other.
Oh, this is complicated.
Right. It's just like our love lives in Nobody Wants This, a show about what happens when a bold and sometimes provocative podcast host finds her unlikely match in a sweet traditional rabbi.
You can watch every episode of Nobody Wants This now, only on Netflix.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Dr. Psych Mom Show. Today I'm going to talk about something very important, and it is bringing enthusiasm to the table. And I'll give you one phrase that you can try out, and I'll tell you who really struggles with this and which sorts of marriages I've seen transform with the addition of work in this area. And before that, please do subscribe. I have over 175 subscriber episodes, and they are all awesome, just as awesome as the others. So for $8.99, you get, what's 175 times 15? Somebody can do that, right? Well, that's how many minutes you get of listening. Okay, so let's get to the topic at hand. Okay, so a lot of men in particular struggle with enthusiasm, and it's not like women don't. Of course, women have higher rates of depression than men. And so when you're depressed, you're not feeling enthusiastic about anything. So that's 100% true. Yet, women have been trained forever, for millennia, to use I did a graduate paper on motherese, which I'm sure now is called parentese, but maybe not, because I think that women do it more, and it's using the little voice to talk to kids. Isn't this exciting? Today, we are going to build a melted snowman. You know, this melted snowman Pinterest thing, a glue pile, is one of the little projects my daughter did with she works with little kids. She's only in high school, but she loves to babysit and things like that. And she knows to talk to kids in a voice that's a high-pitched, enthusiastic voice. My son isn't as good with that. He's younger, but he just, she was doing it at that age too, and so women, I think, are given this, here's how we do this. Everybody's kindergarten teacher was basically a woman. It's 90% women. And your mom usually probably talked to you in more of a voice like that. And basically, women talk to each other in affirming, enthusiastic tones more frequently. Men don't do it. They don't do that voice, And sometimes you need to do that voice to move shit along. And it's called confident momentum, and it was from the parenting literature originally. And I talk about it. I have a whole podcast on confident momentum, a term I did not come up with myself, but you could hear who did on that podcast. And I've posts on it too. And the point is, you got to sweep in there like you are hot shit in some way. Otherwise, she's not going to think you are. And all your plans or ideas, whether it's in bed or out of bed, are going to go to shit because you don't even seem convinced. And nobody wants to buy a car from a salesman who's or salesperson who's you're probably not going to like it. I'll show it to you, but I really don't have high hopes. There's problems with it, quite honestly. I personally wouldn't probably buy it. But, you do you. I'm sure you know better. You're going to walk the fuck out, right? You're going to go get a different car from a different salesperson who actually believes in their vehicle. Even if you fancy yourself intellectual enough to understand that salesmanship is a shtick and it's for money, you're still not going to buy a car from somebody who doesn't believe in the car. Even still, right? So this brings us to what I think that you should do, which I've seen work and which I try to model for many of my clients, which is, I have a great idea. You see? Don't you think it's a great idea now? I bet you can't wait to hear it. I have a great idea. Why don't we go to lunch with the kids and then we'll take a walk by the water? I'm going to put the jogging stroller in the car and we're going to be ready to go. It's going to be a beautiful day. That sounds like something somebody would want to do, right? Whereas a lot of guys say that their wife doesn't listen to any of their ideas, and their ideas range between two types. Either they're enthusiastic about an idea that they're doing without the family. You'll never guess what. Mike is planning a bachelor party in Vegas. wow, I can't wait to go. It may conflict with Thanksgiving, but, you get a lot of Thanksgivings and Mike's only getting married once, right? She's not going to like that. And also, you're unenthusiastic about stuff for the family, right? So it's the opposite. So you're like, well, I thought maybe we could take a walk with the kids. I know you don't really like to do that all the time, maybe a little hot. So, maybe not. And then I'll talk to them couples counseling and he'll be like, yeah, she shoots down all my ideas. I'm like, tell me how you said your idea. And it's something like this where it's like you're trotting out a corpse, of an idea. The idea is dead. Like this is a dead man walking idea already from how you're presenting it. And so, of course, she's going to match the tone. That's what people do instinctively. We are pack animals. She mirrors. So if you think it's a shit idea, then she's going to think it's a shit idea. And so if you think all your ideas are shit ideas, if you don't even have good ideas about going to Mike's bachelor party in Vegas, and you're like overall not confident or enthusiastic about anything, you may be depressed. A. And B, you may have had a male role model who was depressed, which probably means you're depressed also. But either way, you didn't learn how to transmit positive, confident feelings. And you're probably not good at it with the kids either, honestly. And you may not be good at it at work. And you're blaming it on her for not liking your ideas. Some guys don't even go that far. They're literally like, no, I don't even bring up ideas because she's gonna shoot them down. Because this other time she shot them down. This other time's like 2 years ago, 1 year ago, even if it was last week, who cares, right? Would you do that at work? Some people would do that at work, but there are people who at work are scared enough, at the very least motivated by anxiety and desire to keep their livelihood, that if their boss didn't like their ideas, they would keep coming out with ideas. They would, because that's their job. And so you got to think like that, and you got to think about is the way that you're phrasing your ideas ruining everything. Oh, and there's another case where the guy only brings up shit she's going to shoot down in a passive-aggressive way. So it's like the Mike's bachelor party thing, but it's something ostensibly for the family. I had an idea, let's try anal. It's like, what? Y'all haven't had sex, like, even this month, even regular. So, like, of course you're not going to do some shit like that. Or, I have an idea. I'm going to enroll all the children in, a class that is 3 hours a week, even though you just said that you're overwhelmed and you don't get enough time with them after work. Or whatever. Like, something that, like, really she's not going to like. Like, when I talk about the ultimate gift guide for women, I say, don't get jewelry for somebody who's a money saver, who's worried about money. Don't get clothes for somebody who doesn't wear fancy clothes, So like kind of know your audience. So between know your audience and enthusiasm, a lot of guys can make their relationship and their communication, their relationship a lot better. So your script is, I have a great idea. And then you're going to say something that might be actually something she would like, in the realm of things she would like. Now, does it only have to be stuff she would like? Get something in between. If you think about things as so zero-sum, then that's something to explore in therapy, because that's what you saw growing up, is either it was mom's way or dad's way. So no, for healthy couples, they don't even... You know how, like, if you're a guy, you go to a bar, you don't even hit on the girl who's, like, 7 leagues above you. You don't. Instinctively, you go to, like, a girl from, that's basically your attractiveness level and, like, maybe 2 levels up, Because why are you going to go up to the supermodel? You only have so much time in the bar, right? It's not instinctively, not to waste your time shooting your shot there unless you're very, very attractive yourself, And those people, they don't think about it as over there, 2 levels above or however many levels above, because it's not, because that's within their range, right? You also don't apply, to be CEO of a company if you're currently a sales associate at another company, right? So people instinctively know like a sweet spot in many, many ways. And this should be a way. So in healthy couples, you don't even bring up shit that the other person actually hates because you stop like doing that shit. And this could be, the big epiphany that you have is that you don't think like that. You just think, what do I like to do? Oh, what do I like? I like video games. I like extreme sports. And I like watching UFC fighting, right? So those are the things I like, and those can never change. She, on the other hand, likes reading books, taking walks, and Zumba. So this is why we're incompatible. So we, neither of us should, of course, do anything we don't want to do. refer back to the We Do What We Want marriage and how it leads to sexlessness at midlife, which I just did that podcast. And so therefore we do nothing together, but I still want to have sex. Well, shit, guess what? I bet you're not. And so you got to think, when I bring up suggestions, am I bringing stuff up that's only like, hey, do you want to fuck while we watch the UFC tournament? It's like, no, she doesn't. Guess what? She's never going to want to. She never did. She never does. She never will. And so maybe you could say something that you both would like, because those are only 6 things in the entire world that I mentioned. 3 that she likes, 3 that you like. What about some that you both like? I bet there's a TV show you both like, and you can say, I have a great idea. Why don't I make us some, snacks, and we will watch this show that we both like. Now, if you frame it like that, unless your wife really hates you, and you guys are completely disconnected, she doesn't want to shoot down your good idea that also seems like a sweet idea, because obviously it's something that you guys have liked before. By the way, this is how sex works in healthy marriages. Your husband hits on you, he initiates sex, and you love him. You don't want to embarrass him, honestly. So you say, all right, in your head, I don't really want to, but responsive desire will kick in. Most people don't say it like that. They say, I'm sure I'll get in the mood, or at least I'll try to get in the mood, because you don't want to embarrass him. He's coming at it from a good place. He likes you. It's just like if your kid comes in, you're like, you want to hear a story? Well, no, the story is going to be really long and boring, but you're not going to say that. You're going to say, sure. Right? Because you want your kid to be happy. And within a loving relationship, you want each other to be happy. However, if your kid came in and said, Ma, you know how you hate Minecraft stories? So I was thinking all I'm going to do tonight is talk about Minecraft. You'd be like, fuck you, no. It would literally be an act of war, for him to do that, because he literally knows you don't like it. Now, that would not happen unless we're in some Lifetime movie about a sociopathic kid, right? Kids are trying to share what's meaningful to them. But, if you did know for sure that somebody knew you didn't like something and was trying to bring it up anyway, that's a gauntlet thrown down. That's not a connection. That's not a bid for a connection. That's a bid to win. So don't do those. Your good ideas should be, there's a lot of things in the world. So your good idea can be in one of them that she doesn't hate. And if you're like, there's literally nothing that she doesn't hate except scrolling on her phone, then she's depressed. And then you can refer back to all my podcasts on what to do when your wife is depressed. But likely it's not that there's one villain in the story. Likely both of you, if one of you is depressed, both of you are depressed, usually on the spectrum of depressed in some way, because when you met, you resonated with each other. You were familiar to each other. You reminded each other of your own families. If you're depressed, you got depression in your family, etc., etc. I rarely meet somebody negative who's just married to somebody chipper and positive. Really doesn't happen. Really, really doesn't. Even if the woman, let's say, is going through postpartum, so she's depressed, but she used to be really chipper and he used to be really chipper, she's like a more chipper, depressed person, her natural personality, she'll be like, I'm feeling really down now, but I know, I think that it's related to the baby. I have these bad thoughts, but I love the baby. And I feel like I need to get over this hump. She's even going to frame that almost positive and achievable if she started out as a chipper person. Instead, I get people who are like, oh, my wife is depressed now, so she's the negative one, and we both used to be positive. He comes in and he seems pretty negative, and she's through the floor on negative because she's negative plus depressed. And sometimes I see the other way. The guy's through the floor on negative because he's negative plus depressed. And sometimes we're doing the session in the virtual basement because they're both through the floor of negative and depressed. And of course in my literal basement because that's where I work. But point being, you got to think about the way that you're setting things up. If you're setting things up to fail by coming in, bringing up shit she doesn't want to hear in a tone that is whiny and sulky and negative, that nobody will buy a car from you, then how's it going to go? It's going to go like shit, which is how it's been going. So we could try something else where you come in and you say, I have a great idea. And you set her up to succeed by saying something she's not going to hate, maybe even something she might like. It's like in your friend group or with a friend or a brother or whoever or a coworker, you wouldn't say to your brother who likes UFC, you wouldn't say, hey, I got a great idea. Let's go browse Barnes and Nobles and get coffee. He'd be like, what are you, a pod person? The shit that you suggest to me is the UFC or fishing or we're going to get a beer. Like you wouldn't, like if you wanted to go to Barnes & Nobles and browse, you would not inflict that upon your brother if your brother is the guy that likes sports and these other activities that you know he likes. You would pick from within the subset of activities that you share in the Venn diagram what overlaps between you and him. And you could indulge your new Barnes & Noble's hobby with maybe your wife, who would love it probably. So you see my point, but then people forget that whole thing of like bringing up things other people would like at work, with friends, etc. This is like my child coworker friend, the CCF model. Listen to that podcast. But like people treat all those people better and they bring up things those people would like. And then they go to their wife and they're like, you know, like how about we do something you hate? How about that idea? Guess not, because you're a negative Nelly. That's what I keep telling the couples therapist, right? And you wouldn't act like that with anybody else. So try it, go forth and try. I have a great idea. And then remember the tips I gave you. Nothing she literally despises. Positive attitude. You're selling something. And I bet she's going to go along with it. And if she doesn't go along with it, if you keep trying over and over and over, she doesn't go along with it, then you can get into couples counseling. Because you know already you're trying to clean up your side of the street. All right, guys, talk to you soon. Have a great day. Hope you got something out of this. Bye-bye.